Now let's have a little closer look at the value of K, which is your thermodynamic equilibrium constant. Now, why am I spelling it out fully? Thermodynamic equilibrium constant, because I want you to spend a few minutes on understanding what it is, even though the specific part which I'm going to discuss right now is not in course. But then if it is not discussed, it raises lot of doubts later on, because this K value is going to come in other chapters also. It is going to get related to Gibbs free energy, which I think you would have already done as a formula without much understanding of K. And then when we are going to do uh, electrochemistry, in that again it is going to come. So we rather understand what K takes as input. So when you have a reaction where A plus B gave C and D and it came into equilibrium, then what about A and B and C and D was reported? What was that quotient? What was the products? Uh, the multiplications, what were they? So they were of the activity. As mentioned, it was of the activity which we reported as concentration. So what is the difference between activity and concentration? So, and when we report in terms of activity, by the way, then it would be the K value, the actual K value, the thermodynamic equilibrium constant, and it would be a unitless quantity. So that again you need to know, because K is going to figure in formula of your Gibbs free energy as minus RT ln K. So what is this K? This K needs to be a unitless quantity because it is in log, and yes, K is unitless. So if you are reporting in concentrations, which is mole per liter, it might not end up to be unitless when your C plus D is not equal to A plus B, which is major of the cases. It is not necessary that your C plus D will be equal to A plus B. So it might have units when you are writing in concentration, but K doesn't have units. So what's the mystery over here? So the point is, activity, say of the compound A, activity of A is not straight away the concentration of A. It is the concentration of A into a factor which you can call it as activity quotient. So you have an activity coefficient. I'm sorry, not quotient, coefficient. So when you multiply with the activity coefficient of A with the concentration, then you are going to get the activity of A, which goes into the formula of K, the equilibrium constant. Now, if we consider ideal behavior, then your coefficient, this thing is going to be almost equal to 1. So over a great range of the conditions, what we are going to do, say the pH of the solution, which we are never looking into it, so all of this is not in course. In those conditions, your activity coefficient behaves like a constant, and the values are chosen such that it is equal to 1. Your comparison to ideal behavior, let me just put it in this way also. Your activity, if I report the activity of A, it would be the concentration of A compared to its ideal activity. If I take the ideal activity at 1 molar, so it is like something like taken to be, okay. So for convenience, if it is the ideal activity is taken as 1 molar. So if your concentration is more than 1 molar, it has so much more activity. It is less than 1 molar, it has got so much less activity. So ultimately, the point what we need to be concerned about is this activity ultimately becomes unitless. So it doesn't have unit, because this guy, the concentration will have a unit of molarity, which is moles per liter, and then you have divided with molarity. So ultimately the molarity cancels out and you have a unitless quantity over here. And in value for all the equations, what we would be doing, we would be assuming, or we have to take it, since activity is not in course, we have to take the activity A and the concentration to be same. So so eventually we are just plugging in the concentration but not with the units. So that is what you have to understand, that we are plugging in the concentrations over here but not with the units. And similarly, uh, the activity of gases, they are termed fugacity. So something, activity is closely related to fugacity, and again it would be, your fugacity can be written as pressure of one of the gas. Say A was a gas, this guy A is a gas, so the partial pressure of A with respect to, where do I consider it as ideally active? So we'll consider it at 1 atmosphere. Mind you, we can take 1 bar also, there's a value of convenience. So 1 atmosphere, so your activity, which is we are calling it as fugacity, the activity can be taken as, numerically it can be taken as the partial pressure itself, but unit wise you see that again the unit cancels. Your atmospheres will cancel with atmosphere. So even if you are getting the K value in terms of, if you are writing the activities in terms of pressures, then still will not have any unit. So when we report a K value, we are not reporting a specific unit, even though some textbook might be writing a unit to emphasize. All this what I'm saying is actually not required. To emphasize, divided by A divided by B power A power B, to emphasize that they have taken the concentration and they don't know about, they have not actually gone into the activity coefficient, which might be a big fat formula. If you are not at ideal behavior, the activity coefficient or the concentration into activity coefficient itself would be a complex function which is not in course luckily at all, so we don't have to worry about it. So the point what I'm trying to make over here is that we would be finding the K value in terms of concentration, so we'll call it as Kc, or in terms of pressure, so we'll call it as Kp. So what would Kc be when instead of activity we are writing the concentrations, and we know that numerically it would be same if your coefficient was 1. We don't have to get into that thinking, because never ever they'll be touching that part in our syllabus. What we have to see is whether Kc is given to us or Kp is given to us. When it is gases mostly, then it is Kp. And when you have aqueous solution, we don't have a pressure of those active molecules, then we write the equilibrium constant in terms of Kc. So Kc is when you will put the activity as concentration. So activity of C is concentration of C, power C, concentration of D, power D, concentration of A, power A, and then concentration of B, power B. That's your equilibrium constant in terms of concentration. It may land up with a certain unit if you're not imagining that the coefficient was there, but you need not report any units because of the concept just told to you, that your activity coefficient will cancel out the units. The coefficient will have 1 by concentration unit, and similarly your Kp value would be partial pressure of C, partial pressure of D, partial pressure of A, partial pressure of B raised to the stoichiometric coefficients in the equation. Okay, a point to note over here would be this equilibrium constant expression has been written, the equation has been written for A amount of A reacts with B amount of B and produces C amount of C and D amount of D, where C and D reacts back and gives and forms a equilibrium with A and B. So here the stoichiometric coefficient is A, B, C, D. That is what you are getting on balancing. Now one could have balanced it with maybe a by 2, a by 2, by 2. Is it a correct balance equation? Yes, it is. So in this case, will the K value be same? No, it won't be. Now the K value for this reaction, the K value will be, you'll have a C by 2 over here, a D by 2 over here, a by 2 over here, a B by 2 over here. Will it be a constant? Yes, it will be a constant. It will be a new constant. In our solving of numericals, will it make a difference? No, it won't make a difference. So the point over here is that a K value is with respect to how the equation is reported, and if nothing is given, then we assume that it is the integral values. The coefficients are the least possible integral values like this one, but there is no harm in giving the K value for this reaction. There is no harm in giving the K value for this reaction. So the K values for the first one which I showed and this one would be two different values. It won't make a difference in solving the numericals what we are going to solve. Another important thing to note is if one of the reactants, say A plus B gives C, and one of them, say A is a solid, then there is an equilibrium and A is a solid. Then what is the activity of that solid? What is the activity of the solid? The activity of the solid is taken to be 1. The activity is taken to be 1. And hence it doesn't figure out, you don't report it, you don't write it in calculation of Kc or Kp or anything. Your the value for that particular reactant or product will be taken as 1. What is the reason for that? The reason is again relates to the basic. If we have a rate of reaction which was your constant for forward reaction times your activity of the reactants, then if one of them is solid, say the A is solid, then what is the activity? The activity was equal to, your activity was equal to, what is the concentration of that guy? What is the concentration of A is a solid now, mind you, divided by its standard concentration, like 1 molar. Now, does this have any sense? If I go by this formula, does it have any sense? It doesn't have any sense. I'll tell you why it doesn't. This is a total nonsense, and it is ultimately going to result in 1 because your concentration means moles per liter. If I have a solid, say the solid is AgCl. AgCl is a solid. Now, what is the density of AgCl? Density of AgCl is roughly 5.5 grams per centimeter cube. So that's the density of AgCl. AgCl has a molar weight of say 143. So if I have to get the moles of AgCl per centimeter cube, it would be 5.5 divided by 143, so many moles of AgCl per centimeter cube. So if I have to have per liter of it, I'll just multiply 1000 on top. So many moles per liter. So this is the concentration of AgCl solid. This is so many moles per liter of the thing. It's a solid thing. It's a solid thing. I'm just doing the math over here. The signs of this, what we are doing, also doesn't make any sense. I'm just showing the math. Now, that much of concentration with respect to its standard form. Now, what would be the standard form of AgCl? Can it be something else? Can it be 1 molar? Can I say that AgCl solid has a certain state where 1 mole of AgCl is in 1 liter of its solid form? That is impossible. 1 liter of AgCl will have so many moles no matter what, because the density is a constant. So density is a constant, so that density or those many moles per liter would be the standard form. So that is what is going to figure here also. So all the time the concentration of AgCl with respect to its standard concentration would be same. So it is going to be, the activity is going to be 1. Now if somebody said that some other number is the standard concentration, so I can give you that also. Take it as something, some number, say gamma. Say gamma is that number. Is this value going to change from this? Never. Is the moles per liter of AgCl going to change? Never. Is this gamma, the standard what you are saying, is going to change? Never. So this ratio is going to be a constant all the time, right? So if it is going to be a constant all the time, then this number is going to be a constant. So you can, so this constant, the forward reaction constant, that can engulf this constant and become a new constant. Now that is another way of thinking, but what I said earlier is the more proper and the right way, which is your density is always going to be same. The standard density is also the same thing. So it will always cancel out and give you 1. So I guess you would have understood that even if it is a liquid, your A was a liquid reacting with B, aqueous giving something, something, something. Again, the activity of the liquid is going to be taken as 1. Same reason, the density of the liquid is not going to change. So a very common example would be something in water, say NH4OH, aqueous. Aqueous means it is in water, which is a liquid having a certain equilibrium with something, something. Okay, so I'm not writing further. So this is what will determine the forward rate. So in the forward rate part, if I have to write the activity of water, then what will be the activity of water? Activity of water would be the concentration of water. Now concentration of water, whether the tumbler was having 2 liters of water or 2 liter of water or 10 liter of water, the concentration of water would be dependent on its density, which is 1000 grams per liter. So the number of moles of water per liter will always be around 55.5 moles per liter. So your concentration of NH4OH may be anything. It may be a 0.1 molar, 0.1 moles per liter or 0.2 moles per liter, but the water itself will always be 55.5 moles per liter. That would be the density, the concentration always. And as I said, saying a 1 molar water is no sense. So the standard with which water can be compared will be that itself, which is 55.5. So this all makes no sense. It is just for math's sake. So is equal to 1. So activity of liquids also, when mind you, when other gases and aqueous substances are present, that time the activity of liquid is going to be taken as 1. So activity of solid and activity of liquid is taken as 1, and for good reason. Now you can give various reasons to it, like water is so abundant around it that the rate forward is going to depend only on the concentration of this. Higher is the concentration of NH4OH, higher will be the rate forward. Lower is the concentration is in water, so you don't report water also, so that water is not going to make a difference. These values is going to become higher or lower, say from 0.2 to 0.4. So the rate is going to double. 0.2, and when it is 0.4, the rate is going to double. The density, the concentration of water or the activity of water, whatever you take, is going to remain the same. So your rate is going to double with this. So you don't have to consider water. As I said, you can engulf the activity of water in the constant of proportionality if you wish to think that way. So anyways, the basic point is activity of solid and liquid in in all the questions what we are going to do in this chapter will be equal to unity. That means while you're writing K, you never write those things. You don't even write those things. You just write the concentrations of the aqueous part. If you're writing the Kc, if you're writing your Kp, then you're just going to write the pressures of the gaseous parts. And mind you, Kp you won't be writing if you have aqueous things. If you have aqueous substances, you are not going to calculate Kp. Kp will be only calculated when all the active parts are gaseous. So I hope we have understood till now what K means, what Kp means, what Kc means. Now we'll do a relation between Kp and Kc. If the Kc is given to us, how to find the Kp? If the Kp is given to us, how to find the Kc? At times it is useful. Now to derive the Kp-Kc relation, let me again take the reaction A, amount of A, which is a gas. Since we are talking about Kp, things have to be gaseous. B amount of B, gas, gives and forms back C amount of C, gas, and D amount of D, gas. So if I have to report the Kp value of it, as discussed, what would be the Kp value? The Kp value would be equal to the products, the multiplication of the activities of the product raised to their stoichiometric coefficient. So that would be partial pressure of C raised to the power C, partial pressure of D, the compound D, raised to the power D, partial pressure of the compound A raised to the power of its stoichiometric coefficient in the balanced equation A, partial pressure of B raised to the power B. So that's your Kp value. Now if somebody is wanting to know the Kc value, mind you, let me just give you an idea that what it is. We have a closed chamber, and we have all these molecules which are there in the equilibrium. So they are reacting and forming back, and they have stabilized to a certain value, and their partial pressures is what has been reported. But then somebody says that I don't want to report the partial pressure, I want to report the number of moles of one of the species divided by the volume it occupies. So volume would be the whole chamber volume, which is fixed, which is a constant. So this equilibrium is happening in a constant volume. So if that is the case and ideal behavior is considered, we will always be considering ideal behavior. Mind you, after all, we wrote all this based on the fact that these were showing ideal behavior. So I mean, activity or fugacity in terms of partial pressure is only when they are ideal, behaving as ideal gases. So if it is ideal gas, what is the relation between pressure, volume, number of moles? It is PV is equal to nRT. Now the concentration is number of moles by volume. So it is the volume of the chamber. If it is a gas, so it is no longer the volume of any solution. We are not even talking of a solution over here. So it is the volume of the chamber. So pressure directly relates to the volume, to the concentration, which is number of moles divided by the volume of the chamber. And the only difference between pressure and the concentration part is these two constants. So mind you, K was at a particular temperature, so T is a constant, and R is universal gas constant, so it is a constant obviously. So we can easily convert a P in terms of N by V and vice versa. So if partial pressure of A is required, what will be the partial pressure of A? The number of moles of A divided by how much volume? The whole chamber volume. So whole chamber volume into RT. Similarly, if I talk about partial pressure of B, it would be number of moles of B divided by the whole volume times RT. And partial pressure of C, similarly, partial pressure of D would be similarly. Yeah, and if we start replacing the partial pressures with concentration using this kind of expression, this expression, then what we have is partial pressure of C can be written as concentration of C times RT, and then partial pressure was raised to the power of stoichiometric constant C. So I'll do that. Similarly, partial pressure of D would be concentration of D times RT whole power of small d. Partial pressure of A is concentration of A. Mind you, concentration of A I have shown you over here. That is nothing but the number of moles of A divided by volume of A. In that same sense, we are writing about C and D also. So concentration of A times RT whole power of A, concentration of B times RT whole power of B. Looks like a mess, but don't worry. So I hope you can see what is coming out of it. You have your C power C, your D power D, your A power A, and your B power B, which is coming on out. These are all concentration. Quite bugging to make all those square brackets and whole bunch of RTs. So if I take all the RTs together, it is RT power C plus D was in the numerator minus A plus B was in the denominator. So this is what we get, and I hope you can see that this initial part is nothing but your Kc value. So it is Kc times RT, and that C plus D minus A plus B, we can nicely write it as delta Ng. So what is that delta Ng? Delta Ng is the coefficient of all the gaseous molecules in the product side, which is your C and D, minus the addition of coefficients of all the gaseous molecules in the balance reaction in the reactant side. So that's your delta Ng, how many gases in the product minus how many gases in the reactant. So that gives you a Kp-Kc relation. Mind you, use it only when you have only gases. There is B, there is C, whatever, all are gases, or there is liquid or solid. You have added liquids or solids. You have solid, it's okay to use. You have liquid, it is okay to use. But if you have something as aqueous solution, then you rather report the equilibrium constant only in terms of Kc, because in Kp you will not have the pressure of the aqueous part written. You'll have to go down to the activity and write everything in terms of activity, and neither Kc nor Kp, but K will be a more relevant thing. But Kc, I mean, for gases also you can write K, you can write the C value. So Kc is the one which is acceptable, but not Kp value. So we will not be writing Kp values, and obviously you won't be using this conversion when you have aqueous stuff. So from Kp you can get Kc all the time, but from Kc you will not get Kp all the time if you have aqueous reactant or product. If anything is aqueous, you'll have Kc value. If anything is aqueous, Kc value is okay, but with aqueous, Kp value is not written at all. So I hope you got this relation. There is another relation which is very seldom used, that is K in terms of mole fraction. So I'll rather derive that also. So I hope you remember what was mole fraction. It was denoted by the letter chi, and it was number of moles of one of the species divided by total number of moles. So in this chamber you'll have Na, you'll have Nb, you'll have Nc, you'll have Nd, and the total number of moles will be Na plus Nb plus Nc plus Nd. That's your mole fraction of A over here. And since it is a constant volume, your pressure using the equation, your PV is equal to nRT. Your pressure is directly proportional to the number of moles. So your total pressure, P total pressure, you have all done this earlier, so I'm just going through it very fast, will be total number of moles times RT. And if we talk about each partial pressures, then I'll talk about only one. Partial pressure of A times the volume will be number of moles of A times RT. So if I divide with total number of moles, if I divide this equation, this equation with this over here, what do I get? I get a PA divided by total pressure, PT, I'll write. Volume gets cancelled, number of moles of A divided by total number of moles, and RT gets cancelled. So we all know it that your mole fraction is same as your pressure fraction, your partial pressure divided by the total pressure, because they are directly proportional in a confined volume. So if I go on to replace your partial pressures with mole fraction, so this is chi of A, mole fraction of A. So I have to replace a partial pressure of A with chi of A. What do I have? I have chi of A times total pressure. So what do we get on top? What do we get on top over here? We get mole fraction of C times total pressure instead of pressure of partial pressure of C. So whole power C, and in the same sense mole fraction of D total pressure whole power D, mole fraction of A total pressure whole power A, mole fraction of B total pressure whole power B. So what we land up with is chi C power C, chi D power D, chi A power A, chi B power B, and then all the PTs taken together will be PT whole power delta N G. So it is again the number of moles of gases in the product side minus the number of moles of gases in the reactant side, and it is this conversion was possible if everything was gas actually, okay, other apart from solids and liquids, nothing like aqueous, so that we can take this relation whatever we derived over here, so that this relation is happening. So what we ultimately get is your Kp is equal to K mole fraction, K chi times total pressure whole power delta Ng, a relation which is seldom probed into, hardly used, but since it is quite easy to derive, skipping it would have meant like passing a very easy concept. So we just derived that also, because you might be getting across this term somewhere in the books. Easy derivations. So I think we are done with it. Let's do a problem based on this. And yes, a recap of what we have done. We have done a Kp relation with Kc, P, it is taken in pressures. I've already told you your activity thing and all. The standard, it is taken in bar also, by the way. You can take it in bar also, but rarely. If you take it in bar, then your R value, the universal gas constant value, would be a 0.08314. Instead of atmospheres, it would be in bar. So mind you, your concentration will be always in moles per liter. So if it is moles per liter, liter is not an SI unit, right? So moles per liter is what you'll be using almost all the time for concentration. So the corresponding value in your PV is equal to nRT. If this you use in moles, this is always in moles. If this you use in liters, then this you use in an atmosphere, and the corresponding R value is 0.0821. So that is a value of R you have to use when you're converting between Kp and Kc. And then again, if mole fraction K in terms of mole fraction is asked, you can further use this. So your delta Ng was number of moles of gaseous products. You'll not include liquid and solids, minus the number of moles of gaseous reactants in your balanced chemical reaction, and that balanced reaction can have integral values as well as non-integral values. It has to be the balanced reaction, and your K has to be reported for that given reaction. Now it says that this conversion formula cannot be used. You cannot use this conversion formula if you have aqueous solutions, because if you have aqueous solutions, then your Kc will have the concentrations, but Kp will not have the pressure. So in fact, you will not be reporting pressure Kp when you have aqueous solution. When you have aqueous solution, Kp will not be reported. Okay, and when you have gas always as well as liquid, there is a way of there is equilibrium which is studied for sure, and then there is debate on what is the relevant K value to be used. I'll just give you a hint on what I'm saying, but it is all not required. If you have gas, due to its own equilibrium, the gas gets into the liquid, it dissolves in the liquid in term using Raoult's law, and then that dissolved part with the aqueous, it can react with the aqueous and form a equilibrium with the products. So directly the pressure over here can be included, because the pressure and the dissolved part, how much is dissolved, the pressure and how much is dissolved is linked through a constant. So again, you can just omit what I said towards the end. It is of no value right now. I just wanted to recap this. Unfortunately, I went into this. There has to be lot has to be spoken about it, and we have subsequent chapters where we can discuss that. And I'll have to add a footnote that K in terms of the actual fugacity or activity function, which can go and become very complex, is not in syllabus. And why I need to tell you this, because when we are doing electrochemistry next year, that time, unfortunately, what you'll be seeing is you will be seeing in the log, when we write the K or the Q value, the Q value will have concentrations as well as pressures, because there would be gases which will be in equilibrium with the ions, say H plus ion and H2 gas. H2 gas in terms of pressure and H plus ions in terms of concentration would be there in the same Q value. In the same Q value, pressures as well as concentration will come, and the basic reason is that we are actually doing the activity and not concentration or pressure. So that time you shouldn't get confused, and remember that the actual K, the thermodynamic equilibrium constant K, was talking about the activity, and not concentration of pressure directly. Now, before I give you any question, a numerical to test your formula, let me again add that I'll give you a peculiar reaction where everything is liquid. You see, this is a liquid, that's a liquid, 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 and it has got an equilibrium. It has got an equilibrium constant. We'll not be studying. It is not in our course, but these liquids are having some activity. It is all liquid in liquid. When there's liquid in liquid, there is some activity, and you can have catalyzation of the reaction. If it is acidic medium, your organic teacher would be teaching it, Raki ma'am would be teaching it, that if you have acid, it goes one way more, and these are this particularly this equilibrium is a very slow one. It takes days to come into equilibrium. Even if there is acid, it will take many days to come into equilibrium. So this one, the activity of this one we are not doing. I said the activity of a liquid is for what reason, I told you the reason. And when we were studying the rate, where other things were determining the rate, where the ions or the other molecules, how much densely they were present in the solution was determining the rate, okay, and not the solvent itself. Okay, so this one is quite different from that. I'm just telling you about this so that you don't get confused when you go through this. And then another one, let me just bring to your notice. You have a gas which is in equilibrium. Obviously this activity will be written as 1. This will never figure in the equations. And when you are reporting this, if at all it comes, these kind of questions are not going to come. If at all it comes, you'll be talking about Kc, so that we can write the concentration of this, concentration of this, the concentration of HF can be written, the concentration of boric acid can be written, and the concentration of this, even though it is gas, we have already discussed number of moles per unit volume is the concentration. So concentration of that can be written. So we'll be doing Kc and not a Kp value for this. For these reactions, they actually study what is the relevant K value which has to be reported. Like this, when it attaches to water, and when we are doing ionic equilibrium, it will become even more relevant. But what is creating the equilibrium? What are the ions? So when we study the ions, these kind of equations will become more relevant. So in chemical equilibrium, when the whole molecules are being studied, these kind of reaction are not going to come. So this is a sample question, a very easy one. You can try it out. What is given is your Kp value. All are gases, so it's simple. You have to balance it. You can see it is already balanced, and you have to find what is the Kc value. What is the Kc value? Is the conversion relevant? Yes, it is. Can you do it? Please do it. Pause the video. You can use your calculators because the concept is being checked and not your calculation skills. So the first thing to note is your delta n value. So on the product side we have 1, coefficient is 1, 1, and on the reactant side it is 1 and 1, both are gases, so it is 1 plus 1. So your delta n is a minus 1. Your Kp is equal to Kc RT power delta n. So your Kp value is given to you 0.0408. Kc value is what is being asked, or you'll take it as 0.0821. T is given as 500 kelvins. Had it been given in degrees Celsius, you'll convert in kelvins and write T is in kelvins, and then power minus 1. You'll pick up your calcs if you are using your calculator and get the answer. Now this is another one, and the temperature is in degrees Celsius. So what do you think? The Kc value has been given to you. What is your Kp value? You have to find your Kp value over here. So again, pause and do it. I'll give you less than a minute and you'll know why. So I hope you got it. The point over here is your delta n is equal to how much? Your delta n is equal to 0. It's a it's a 2 on the reactant side minus 1 plus 1, sorry, 2 on the product side minus 1 plus 1 on the reactant side. So 2 minus 2, which is a 0. So you have RT power 0 happening over here, RT power 0. So your Kp is equal to Kc. RT power 0 gives you 1. So Kp value is equal to Kc value. So Kp and Kc is same, 50.5. So we are lucky at times when we have our delta N as 0. Now here is another one. It is the same reaction. T is equal to 448 degrees Celsius. So they have asked the Kc value again. So the reaction has been reported in this format. Half H2 plus half I2 gives Hi. So will the Kc value be same as this 50? As discussed earlier, no, it won't be 50. So what was the Kc value earlier? Here, I'll call it as Kc1. Your Kc1 was Hi square divided by H2 and I2 concentration power 1 power 1. Here your Kc2 for this reaction would be Hi power 1 divided by H2 power half and I2 power half. Now, how are these two related? How are these two related? We can easily see, what we can see is your Kc2, if I square it, it becomes your Kc1, right? So your Kc2 would be under root of Kc1, again a constant. So your math, if you are going to find out how much of concentration of H2 is there, I2 is there, the math is not going to make any difference. You write the stoichiometry like this or this, but the Kc value for sure is different. It is under root of 50.5. So that will be the new Kc value. So that would be roughly your 7 point something. So that will be the Kc value for this reaction. So I hope you got that. So that brings us to the end of this part where Kp Kc conversion is there. I have not given you a K mole fraction kind of conversion. It is all very easy. Now we are all set to do the actual kind of problems what is required for chemical equilibrium, where certain amount of the ingredients, the reactants have been given, and you have to figure out where it is going to at how much it is going to react and where it is going to reach the equilibrium, and at equilibrium what would be the concentrations. So those kind of questions. And then if you disturb the equilibrium, if 3-4 species are in equilibrium and we take away one, disturb the equilibrium, or put in extra one or two of the species, then what is going to be the values at the new equilibrium. So those kind of questions are the actual questions which are going to come. Those are the interesting ones. So this was all your groundwork. We are all set to do those kind of equations. Get used to these terms, what has been done till now, so that going forward it becomes easy for you. Do a quick revision of all these things before you look into or get into the next part. Okay, thank you. Bye bye.